I'm not allowed, but for 1 second I forgot where I was. I just have a bit of room to breathe. I feel like a naughty school kid, like on the floor, like, please can you get me some help? Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Oh my days, it has been a while since I've sat down with you guys in my bedroom. I feel like we've jazzed it up a little bit. We recently moved in. When I say recently, it's probably been a couple of months now. Slowly getting there with the decorating. So yeah, I feel like my background is a little bit more interesting than it was last time. Okay, so last year I made a video with my friend all about our most embarrassing stories whilst living in Singapore. And it went down really well with you guys. In fact, it was my only trending video I've ever had. So you guys really seem to enjoy it. So I thought today I would do another kind of story time in Singapore video, sharing with you most awkward situations and kind of encounters that I've had in Singapore. Before we get started, if you're new here, hello, my name's Georgia. I make videos all about living in Singapore. So if you want to see more kind of content like this, do be sure to hit the subscribe button below. Click the bell so you're notified every time I upload a video, and be sure to follow me on Instagram so you can keep up with what I'm up to. Okay, so the first story is a weird one. This happened in the really early days of me moving to Singapore. So I was basically on an escalator on my way to work, and I had longer hair at the time, so I had it like up in like a top knot bun, which was like my go-to hairstyle back then. I'm going up the escalator and like someone grabs me on the back of the shoulder, and it's this woman. She was like, "Oh my god, I absolutely love your hairstyle." I was like, "Oh, thank you." She's like, "Is it really easy to do?" By the way, we're on an escalator, so we're like going up, so it's not really the place to have a conversation. And I was like, "Oh, I just kind of flip my hair upside down and, you know, bundle it up." She's like, "Do you mind if you like take your hair down now and just like show me how you do your hair like that?" No, not really. You know, I'm on an escalator on my way to work and I've already done my hair. I just had to politely be like, sorry, no, not right now. But I just thought that was such a strange thing to ask. That was a strange encounter. My next encounter, once I was in the 7-Eleven. Now in Singapore, if you live in Singapore, tell me if you can relate to this, but a lot of the time, personal space isn't really a thing. Usually when you're queuing up for things or you're waiting to pay for something, if there's a queue behind you, most likely they're not going to give you personal space. They're going to be quite close to you, which personally I don't like, because I'm like, can I just have a bit of room to breathe? Like, I don't like someone literally like breathing down my neck. And I don't understand why you have to stand that close anyway. Like, you're gonna get served. I get to the front of the cashier and I give her my stuff. Meanwhile, this whole time, this woman has been literally like touching me behind me. She's that close, and I'm just getting really frustrated with it. And then as the woman is like beeping, you know, putting my stuff through the till, the other woman behind me just slams her stuff on the counter when I'm the one being served. She's not being served yet. This also happens a lot in Singapore. When you're not even finished with your transaction, someone else will just put their stuff on the counter and expect them to be served like straight away when I'm still being served. And then the cashier puts through her stuff thinking it's mine, and then oh no, this isn't my stuff, this is her stuff. And the cashier's even more confused. She's like, well, why is her stuff here? And I'm thinking exactly the same thing. So the woman behind me was like, oh, never mind lah, she can just pay for it on her card. So she wanted me to pay for her stuff on my credit card and she would give me the cash. Furious by this point, I was like, absolutely not, I'm not paying for your stuff. Like, you can just wait in line. And then the cashier was even more confused, and it was just a really awkward and frustrating situation. Let me know if any of you guys have had a similar experience in Singapore, but I feel like it happens quite a lot. This one literally happened a few weeks ago. I was on the train with a cup of coffee, and I know you're not allowed to drink and eat on the train. I know it's not allowed, but a lot of people still get on the train with drinks. So whether it be a water or a cup of coffee or a drink or whatever, if you're going from one stop to another, you may have a drink on you. And just for 1 second, I forgot that I was on the train, and I took a sip of my coffee, and I swear to you, the second I did it, this guy who was, I think he was working on the train, came up to me and he was so annoyed. He was like, "You're not allowed to drink on the train." It's like, oh, I just like smiled. I was like, sorry. But he kept staring at me. He was like, And I was like, I know that I'm not allowed, but for 1 second, I forgot where I was. Like, it's not that big a deal. And also, if you're really dehydrated, you probably will have a sip of your water. So then I was like, where do you draw the line? Like, why can I not have like the last tiny sip of my coffee, but I could have a bit of water? I don't know. It's not like I'm gonna spill coffee all over the place, but I understand rules are the rules, and I forgot where I was for 2 seconds, but I was so embarrassed. I think I went really red because I was just like, I feel like a naughty school kid. Like, I've never been told off on the train before, but he was so annoyed at me. On the subject of MRT, this one is weird. So, me and Justin were on the train. You know when someone's staring at you, you just know, right? So, out the corner of my eye, I can see that this guy is like staring at me, and I was thinking, okay, maybe he recognizes me, because a lot of the time, if you're a YouTuber, you usually know when someone's a viewer. You just can kind of tell, like, people keep double taking, or they get their phone out and look at it and then they'll look at you. You kind of gauge whether they probably know you or not. If you want to say hello, just come and say hello. You don't have to keep staring at me. So we get off the train and I was like, I really want to overtake him because it's making me feel a little bit uncomfortable. It's just the way he was looking. I can't explain it. It was like a shifty kind of way of looking. So we overtake him and we get to the next train, and then he comes onto the platform and I was like, ugh. All of a sudden he just is in front of me and he's like, I know who you are. And I was like, oh, hi. Like, if you recognize someone, don't say I know who you are. It's kind of a weird thing to say with like a really pan-faced look. Do you watch the videos? And he was like, yeah. And I asked him his name, but he was just so awkward. Like, he didn't say anything else. He was just like, I know who you are. And he didn't really want to like have a conversation with me. And then it made me like not want to have a conversation with him because I knew that he'd been like really weirdly like looking and stuff. So I don't know, it was just really, really awkward. And we get on the same train and he's like in the same carriage, kind of opposite. Sat on the train and I'm just like on my phone or whatever. But I can still sense out the corner of my eye that he's still staring. And I look up and he is still staring, and I catch his eye a few times. And then as we approach to the next station, all of a sudden I hear a camera shutter and like this weird scurrying, and see him out the corner of my eye run off the train. And Justin was like, he just took a picture of you. And it was the way he did it. He like secretly took a picture even though I could hear his shutter, and he like scurried off the train. It was the creepiest thing. I don't know what that was all about. It was really, really awkward. That was the most awkward like viewer interaction I've ever had. Another awkward story is on Carousel. Now, if you use Carousel, then you know. If you know, then you know, right? Like Carousel, ugh. It's draining. So I sold something to this girl on Carousel and she was like, oh, by the way, I watch your videos, which happens quite a lot as well. So it's like, oh, cool. So anyway, she asked me, she bought like 3 items from me and she asked me if I can mail them separately. Now, normally I would just do meetups because I think it's so much quicker and easier. And to be honest, I don't really understand the mailing system in Singapore. I'm sure it's so easy, but for some reason I just find it like a hassle. So anyway, she asked me to mail these 3 things separately. So I was like, okay, but I'm gonna have to buy the packaging, right? Because I didn't have any packaging. So I'm gonna have to charge you for that as well. And she was like, yeah, that's fine, no worries. So I buy like a pack of 3 padded envelopes, which I think was $3. So that's $1 per whatever. So I send them just as she asked me to. I tell her how much it was and she was like, oh my God, no, that is just way too much money. First of all, it's $3, like it's $1 delivery per item. Okay, that might be expensive for Singapore, but I had to also buy the packaging. She was like, no, that is way too much money. This is not how it works on Carousel. Like usually sellers do it this way. And I was like, okay, fine, but I'm not a professional Carousel seller. Like you asked me to mail these separately, which I've done. Like I specifically did what you asked me to do. She basically offered to pay like half of what I paid for, and I was like, no, sorry, like I need you to pay the full amount. I've gone out of my way to like do this for you. It was really patronizing. She was like, listen, Georgia, I like you and I'm gonna pay you the full amount, but just so you know, this isn't how it's done on Carousel. And I was like, it doesn't matter if you like me or not, please will you just pay me what you owe me? And it was so awkward. Like there was this really awkward back and forth. It put me in such an awkward position, also because she like knew who I am, like she watches the videos, and I don't want to come across as a bitch, but I literally followed your instructions and I'm not a professional like Carousel seller. It was really, really awkward. And if you're watching, girl, I'm sorry, but it was an awkward situation to be in. Another really awkward situation, I feel like every awkward situation happens on an MRT. So if you guys know, I've mentioned it quite a few times, but I get the worst menstrual cramps in the world, to the point where I will faint, vomit, like they're really, really awful. So I was at work and I think I was going like to the gym or something on my lunch break. So I was about to get the train to the gym, and then all of a sudden this horrendous pain started, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to go home. Just got to my MRT stop and I'm like coming through the barriers, and there's no way I'm gonna make it the 10-minute walk home. Like I am about to collapse. So I run to the toilet and I just collapse on the toilet floor. Like I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I think like 30-45 minutes went by and I thought it would wear off a bit, but it just didn't. By this point I'm literally lying on the toilet cubicle floor, like I don't know what to do, and I was like, I'm gonna have to ask for help. Like this is so embarrassing, but I'm gonna have to ask for help. I open the cubicle door and I'm literally like hanging out the cubicle door, like on the floor. I'm so embarrassed, and these two girls walk in and I was just like, I'm really sorry, but can you please get me some help? They looked at me like, huh? Like I looked like a zombie, like on the floor, like, please can you get me some help? It was so embarrassing. So they went and got the woman that worked at the MRT, and she was so lovely. And it was weird because I thought that they were definitely gonna call like an ambulance, and then I realized in Singapore you have to pay for an ambulance. People don't really call ambulances like if it's not like a serious emergency. But I was that bad that I felt like I needed to go to hospital, but she was like, no, no, no. So she took me to the back of the MRT, like where the staff room is. At this point, my blood sugar level just drops when I have these pains, and I'm literally like shaking all over. So she gave me a Milo, took me to the back where there was like this little bed, and she put me in the bed and she was like, just rest, just sleep, because I was so exhausted by this time that all I needed to do was just like sleep it off. So I slept for like an hour, and then I woke up like all dazed and confused, like where the hell am I? Realizing that I was in the MRT, like in the back of the MRT where I just had a nap, and it was the weirdest experience ever. And I just like snuck out and left, and I went straight home because I was just really, really like humiliated. But the next day I saw the woman at the MRT and I thanked her for helping me, and yeah, I was just like, I'm really sorry, I just had to go home. Like she said that she went back to the room and I was just like gone. Yeah, that was one really, really awkward moment that I won't forget. So there you go, there are some of my most awkward moments in Singapore. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment below and let me know your awkward stories in Singapore. I would love to hear them. And do be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more of this kind of content, then let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!